It's 12 noon on the East Coast, 9 a.m. on the West.
And this is Reprint.
This isn't breaking headlines. This is a second look with context added for perspective.
This is Reprint, edited after the headlines.
All right, happy Friday. Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome. It is, good afternoon to the East Coast. Good morning to the West Coast. This
Good morning.
is the
Good
Reprint,
morning.
and I am Crystal Jordan. And of course, this is my partner, Victor Flavius.
Yeah. How you doing, Crystal? What's going on?
I don't know. Happy Friday. How's your week?
Same.
You know what? This is our first full week of the Reprint.
It is. It's been a journey. The first week got a lot of different stuff going on, trying to get the schedule together and get all the pieces and just working the kinks out. But we're here. We're here. Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it is Friday, and I'm not in my home studio, but happy to be here, blessed to be here. And this is Martin Luther King weekend, holiday weekend.
Oh wow, yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Sure is. A lot going on in the country.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I actually am planning to go to a celebratory gala tomorrow in honor of MLK holiday. We know everybody is off work on Monday. Some people, because I saw some posts and some social media context suggesting that people are not going to be able to. This may be the last year that some people's employers allow them to take this day off as a national holiday.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's where we are in America. They give us the holiday and they take it back. They move it. They keep moving the goalposts.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate that we have to deal with this. We get one holiday, as a community for the year, and they just we don't take it away from us. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, well, actually, it was supposed to be two because we had MLK has been established for a while, and then Juneteenth was recently established after 2020, and it looks like that also is being rescinded. So, but we're here to talk about positive things this morning, or at least we're going to talk about news, but definitely trying to come from a positive perspective. I know you got some heavy news stories.
Yes. Do you want to start there?
Let's start with the heavy. Let's start with the heavy.
All right. Well, in continued developing news in this country, right now we see in Minneapolis it's heavy right now. Donald Trump and his administration currently has about 3,000 troops on the ground right now in Minneapolis. FBI and law enforcement to do ICE raids and ICE enforcement. And at the same time, he's planning to invoke the Insurrection Act. But he's facing pushback from his party because by threatening the Insurrection Act in response to the protests in Minneapolis, following the ICE shooting and all the tension going on right now in Minneapolis. And lawmakers are warning that the move could escalate tensions and raise civil liberties concerns in that area. It's not looking good for us right now.
It's interesting how all this is happening in Minneapolis. Who knew? I mean, like it says, where the things happen with George Floyd. Like, what?
Yeah.
Is there a lot? There must be something heavily racial about, or polarizing racial issues in that area for it to be it to be continuously, on the radar as a place of contention with racial, just interest. Like, it just, who knew?
Yeah, I'm gonna do some more research on that, but I think it's one of the key voting states, battlegrounds or whatever you call it. So that might be one of the issues, but I'm gonna look into that some more and see what's in the water in Minneapolis, because like you said, George Floyd and now this, and it's just getting more and more. It's like Minneapolis, and then you have Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
That are two places that there seem to be tensions and fighting going on. But I'll
Mm-hmm.
look more into that story. And as developing stories have it, I'm sure Monday morning we'll hear more about what's going on, over the weekend. So,
Yeah, this continues to happen. I did see yesterday that President Trump was visiting was it a Ford plant,
uh-huh.
and flipped one of the workers off. They were complaining about him being there,
Yeah.
and he gave a guy the bird.
So he did. He sure did.
Yeah, and I just,
Gangster. Woo.
uh, I just want to, I know that we are moving into a culture that we're losing formality, right? Which I think that means
Yeah.
we're losing respect, because there should be some type of respect or code of conduct that certain positions should hold. And
Right.
when the president, who is, in place as the representative of the country, acts out like this, what does that say for leadership, as it trickles down? um I see a
Yeah. I
lot.
feel.
It just opened to me, it's just opening a Pandora's box where there won't be any decorum or any, protocol or conduct when it comes to being in a leadership position. And I think that's dangerous.
Yeah. I don't think in our history we have heard presidents use the F word on local national television or right now this president has his own platform, True Social. He has his own platform he can get on. I mean, it used to be a time where everything was officially White House letterhead, White
Right.
House, if you got to go to get the official. Now
Right.
this man has his own platform. He can say whatever he wants. He doesn't care about anything at all. He just does what he wants. So
Mhm.
it's definitely concerning to me too because it takes away the professionalism of the office of the president and that
Mhm.
respect. If your citizens don't respect you, imagine other countries and other dignitaries wouldn't respect you.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Um, it's that's a good point, and I think it brings me. I'm gonna talk about, this has been a social issue, but because we're talking about leadership
Yeah.
and how it is affected. There is a comedian named Druski, very very
Mm.
popular. Actually, he's one of those comedians that was birthed on Instagram, on social media, not necessarily Instagram, and has been able to cross over.
Right.
He's a T-Mobile commercial with Billy Bob Thornton and some other, A-list celebrities. So he's definitely crossed over and has become mainstream. One
Right.
of the stream.
Did I lose you? Hello? Okay.
Yeah, he did a parody on the prosperity pastors, and
Hmm.
that has been causing a lot of backlash. And I just wanted to, to kind of talk a little bit about that this morning, because it seems that um, people are saying that him doing this is could cause people not to be wanting to be a part of the church. They were saying that basically this skit has caused. He did a. The skit was titled "Mega Church Pastors Love Money," and it
Right.
parodied the performative nature and perceived greed of some high-profile religious leaders. I feel like when I watched it, and I am, a Christian. I go to church. I'm a believer, but I thought it was funny, and I think that, it says that the skit depicted Druski as a flashy pastor who is suspended on wires and comes out over the church on like basically flies out, kind of like Chris Brown did in his concert,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
and he's dressed in designer labels, and he's making comments about being. He has on Christian Louboutins, and he's like the shoes are washed in the blood of Christ.
Right.
Maybe,
Right. Right.
and so this is my perspective. People are saying that what he did is dangerous because it will turn people off from the church. Comedians are known to mirror or show us what is happening in real life, in real time, right? So I
Yeah.
think him being a comedian, being able to look at things that are actually happening. There is a pastor that did come out over the sermon. There's been there's certain pastors, and I don't want to get into naming names or pointing fingers, but there are definitely pastors that the parody was based upon, situations that he didn't see. So I think there's this idea that art imitates life, and I think comedians, that is a form of art, right?
Right.
I don't think that it's fair to blame him. I don't think he's the problem. I think the problem is the hypocrisy in the church.
I agree. I agree 100%. Like the saying goes, if the shoe fits, wear it. I don't think, I saw the video, I watched it, I heard commentary about it from other podcasters and other news sources and whatever. I don't think it was offensive. Yeah, it could be a little bit teetering the line of, he's talking about certain things, but he's not making this up. This is something that we've seen happen. We ourselves have laughed and ridiculed the pastors who wear all the jewelry in church. The pastor who got robbed at the pulpit because he had all the jewelry on. We've seen all the mega church pastors close the doors and no one leaves until so much money's raised. That happened. We've seen that with Pastor Marvin Winans. We've seen that with Marvin Sapp. We've seen that. I'm naming names because I want people to go back and look at videos to see what the skits were based off of. We've seen I don't know the name of the pastor, but the one flying through the audience.
I believe that was Mike Todd. I believe that was Mike Todd. I know he came out in like some type of really expensive car, got a haircut on stage.
We've seen it numerous times.
Yeah.
Numerous times. We've seen the haircut on stage, the fancy, flashy clothes. We've seen the pastors at New Birth, both pastor, current and former, flashy. We've seen all the flashy pastors. So for them to get up here and be upset about his skit, be upset at what you show the church, first of all, because prosperity gospel has not just been in the black church, but we talk about Benny Hinn, we talk about all the other white evangelical preachers. What's the one, Olson in Texas? You know what I'm talking about, the pastor in Texas. White pastor. Then there's Potter's House. There's a whole bunch of different preachers that are flashy, that preaches prosperity gospel. And so Druski is only pulling from what he already saw. Because these guys are, most of these pastors, let's get it right, most of these pastors are performative pastors.
I agree. I think a lot of them are. I think you can't, the material was given to him by what he saw. And I think, I think people are saying that what he's doing is going to turn people off from the church. But I think what's turning people off from the church is what a lot of these pastors are doing. It says the skit generated polarized reactions. I, as a churchgoer, I thought it was hilarious because I know exactly what he was talking about. It's also kind of sad. But it says supporters praised it for shining a light on the perceived hustle culture and hypocrisy within some modern churches, arguing that he was mocking man, not God. And I think that's what I believe. That's
exactly what he's doing. Yeah.
God. I think he was basically shining a light or showing a reflective mirror on what it looks like, specifically to people that are not in the church. If you're not a churchgoer and you see this pastor that's walking around in Louboutins and focusing on every single thing that is a symbol of wealth and affluence to the world, not focused on, the things of God, but focused on trying to appeal to the same thing that the worldly celebrities are doing, then that seems hypocritical. And I think the hypocrisy is in the pastors as opposed to the comedian that is just shining a light on, on what he's seeing.
100% agree on that one, because Jesus himself wasn't flashy. He didn't stand up in the pulpit and wore custom, Dior and all this other stuff. He didn't do that. That was, and these pastors get up here and they're performative and they dance and they sing and they dress a certain way, and every Sunday is a different outfit, different thing. I mean, we saw recently last week about the whole dress that,
oh Lord, yes, Lord.
The pastor's wife was wearing, and why is that news?
Yeah, it was.
You know what I'm saying?
It's weird because even with these two topics that I wanted to talk about today. I think this is not what should be mainstream news. I mean,
No.
we offer perspective and context. So I think with a
Yeah.
podcast that makes sense. But as far as the news, it is very shocking. But I think also the way we digest news is changing.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
you have this situation where you're right. Two different situations the church was brought into mainstream news. One with Jamal Bryant's wife, Dr. Carrie Bryant, wearing a dress that a lot of people felt like was not
Inappropriate. Yeah.
appropriate for a pastor's wife to wear. She was
Right.
at the United Negro College Fund gala, the mayor's ball here in Atlanta, and Pastor Jamal Bryant did address the issue in the pulpit that went viral as well, saying that he bought the dress for his wife, and that people were mad because she looked good in it. And I think it's weird to me how so many churches or so many leaders, pastors are chasing what the world seems, it's cool. It's like they want to fit in there. And it's like,
Right.
do you need to do that in order to get the word across? I don't think so. There is a
I don't think
church.
so. Yeah.
There are churches that are not pandering to the
Right.
world in those ways that are doing very well. So the whole idea of I have to do this, I wear these clothes and I do this because I want to be able to bring more people to the kingdom. I personally think it's a little hypocritical.
Very hypocritical, and most of it, probably I would say 98% of that has nothing to do with the gospel or the scriptures or being a believer. It's more about the corporate entity of the church. That's an organization, that's a corporate setup that money-wise, money-driven, money-focused, get people in the seats, keep people in these seats, keep the tides flowing. That's what it comes down to. That's the truth. I mean, I've seen it. So I'm just saying that's what I think it is. And
I agree.
that's my contacts on that.
All right. I guess my next topic for today, it is another social media issue, right? So, I talk a lot about, I do several other shows on YouTube, and I talk a lot about relationships.
Right.
And I think that we have gotten into a time where people are looking at other people's relationships as a base or a goal for what they want, right? Hashtag relationship goals, all that type of thing. And so there's a very popular couple that been married for 12 years, and they've broken up, Christy and Desmond Scott. And this is in People magazine. Like, it's amazing to me that these people getting divorced, who are literally influencers on social media. We don't really know these people. We know that they've opened their lives up via their social media channel, and people feel a connection because they enjoy the family. Both are very attractive people. They have beautiful children, and they have made a living, a very, very nice living, basically showcasing their life. So at the point that they've decided to get a divorce, we're all involved now. All these people, the millions of people that have followed them, consider themselves vested in their relationship, and people are choosing sides. I guess, I wonder, looking at all this backlash for this couple, there are people that are siding with the wife, and, because she did, the divorce papers include infidelity. She claims infidelity is the reason that the marriage is irretrievably broken. And then he put out that he had asked for a separation prior to his indiscretion. But they're going back and forth on social media, kind of dropping hints about the other one. After more than a decade of marriage, Christy filed for divorce for a husband of 12 years. Now, these two got together when they were in high school. So they have the history that feels like this, what everybody wants. They're both attractive, been together forever, have these children. The court reported that Christie cited alleged infidelity as the reason for the pair's split, and Desmond is the one that leaked that they were getting divorced. Earlier this week, fans were convinced that a TikTok post from Christie, shared nearly a month before the news of the filing became public, had hinted at her divorce. In the video, Christie showed herself struggling as she attempted to cook for herself, because in the videos, the husband was the one that cooked because he's a chef. She added over read, anytime I attempt to cook and Scott can be seen checking the oven in her place as a fire alarm sounds in the background. So they really just created a parody almost of their lives, right?
Right, right.
Now that they're getting divorced, people are choosing sides. It seems more like a show than people understanding that there are children involved, there are families involved. It's sad, but I think there's a lot of danger in looking towards people as a model of perfection. And I think this is just another case of that. We see so many celebrity couples, but a lot of the celebrity couples are in the news and they're because we know what they do. We see them in movies and we want to know about them.
Right.
This
Yeah.
couple, literally, we would not have known them ever for anything that they did outside of being on social media and being a popular social media couple. And they've got brand endorsements. They've made money off of their image. And
Yeah.
anyone that's been married, I know you've been married for years. How many
hmm
years you've been married?
About 26.
26 years. So can you
Yeah.
imagine if you were sharing every part of your marriage on social
No.
media?
No. No. It's not supposed to be that way. That's not how life is supposed to be. This whole social media influencer craze that have happened since COVID, it's something that's it's changed. The trend is changing now, but it's something that's unnatural. It's not sustainable. Like what people do online and what people do in reality is two different things.
Mhm.
People rent. In the celebrity space, a lot of people rent homes and cars, and they sign these contracts, and their lives are in shambles.
Mhm.
The men and the women don't look the same way when they get off camera. You see them in public and you're like, whoa, who's that person? Like, for real. I mean, not to diss anybody, but to be on a real conversation.
Mhm.
A lot is done to make a perception of a story that they scripted, and reality TV is scripted, for the most part. And it's just it's not sustainable.
It's
It
not
can't be
sustainable.
sustainable.
Yeah.
No, it can't be.
I do worry though about the generation that's coming up with social media being a part of their lives, right? Because we're from
Yeah.
the generation where we were introduced to social media after we became adults. So I
Right.
think we have a perspective and we understand the context that that's not necessarily real life, even though some people in our age bracket still do get caught up with social media. But I
Yeah.
worry about young people that are looking at these other people as examples of success. And then what does that do when they see that broken? I saw so many people online saying that it was hurting them to see this couple broken up. And, I think like,
You know why? Because people live through
yeah,
that life. So
living
it's
vicariously through,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
dangerous. That's very
yeah.
dangerous.
If you're unhappy with your marriage and your relationship, and you're not figuring out ways to resolve issues within yourself and within your spouse, and you're not working ways in your home to have a healthy working relationship and a home relationship with your husband or your wife or your kids, and you're relying on this woman or man, and they're set up to live through so you can feel good, and now they're gonna divorce. It makes you feel bad, and it's like this is what's going on, in the whole world when it comes to a lot of stuff we do. People are living through these celebrities and influencers' life, and we've seen many times. I mean, I'll turn on the news in the morning and I'll scroll through and I'll see this influencer died at 40, this influencer died at 30, this influencer killed himself. And I'm like, wow, because people are generally not happy with themselves. But until we come to a place of healing where we can find a space where we go and deal with our baggage that we all have,
Mhm.
then it's going to continue to be this way. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. And I know that we talked about this on Wednesday, but I would suggest just because it is so, I think you have to kind of bring in balance. If you are, most
Yeah.
of us have to be on social media because it is a part of, specifically for us, it's part of our job, right? So
Yeah,
we have
it
to
is.
be on
Yeah.
social media, but I think you have to find balance. And so I definitely am happy to see Iyanla Van Zant is going to be back on the OWN network. The
Yeah.
new series Inside the Fix airs on Saturday, and we have an interview with Iyanla Van Zant on the site. If you want to see that, you can go to, if you want to read that or hear her interview, you can visit lennoxandparker.com for that interview with Iyanla Van Zant. But I think we need more positivity, to
Yeah, we do.
balance out, the negativity. And I think that people need to see, I don't think people necessarily need to see more relationships, but I think people need to understand that you can create your own reality, and everything that is, there
Right.
should be certain things that are sacred. And also, just because you see it happening, all of our algorithms are different. And so where, you're seeing this happen, and experiencing depression because of what you're seeing, someone else is seeing something totally different, and so I think the way social media divides us is really, really dangerous. But in that world, I think we need to create balance, which is one of the reasons why we do this show.
Yeah, definitely needed. Balance is needed because we all know that excuse me, we all know that there's sunny days and there's rainy days, and every
Hmm.
day is not going to be a beautiful day. We're not going to always have the best things. And I think people need to see, especially young people, need to understand that's part of life. Life has ups and downs, ebbs and flows. On social media, it's always about the bag, about being rich, about the jet life, about you know the the it life or whatever, whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
But that's not life. That's not reality. Reality is you're gonna have a bad day. You're gonna get colds. You're gonna get, the flu. You're gonna get, you're
There's
gonna have
grief
a
that happens.
there's
There's
great,
yeah.
right, right, and I think it's okay and safe to show those things to the world if you're going
Mhm.
through it. I think recently, talking of social media, I think recently I saw a post, a video of Kai Cenat,
Mhm.
and he's going through something right now. He had a breakup with his girlfriend, and
Mhm.
so he's going through mental health issues right now, and he's addressing it to his what do you call it, streamers. And there's a video with him and his mom sitting on like a little grassy area, and he's talking to his mom and sharing how he feels, and he's like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know if what to do, but all I know is that I should talk about it, and his mom is telling him it's okay, and that is needed. I think he's on the right track.
Mhm.
It's sad that it's being not sad, but it's interesting that it's being documented. But I think him doing that is showing his humane side, his
Yeah.
humanity, showing that he's a regular person. And I
Mhm.
think that to me is what we should be all striving for. You know,
Yeah, I think there is a movement for authenticity and vulnerability, and so
yeah.
I do appreciate him sharing that. I know you got more bad news, more bad news with what's
No, no,
going on
no,
in
no. It's
Angola.
it's it's not bad news. It's what our community needs to know about. A federal judge has ruled that a lawsuit challenging the oppressive farmland labor program in the Louisiana State Penitentiary, Angola, can proceed as a class action, meaning it will now represent all current and future prisoners assigned to that work detail. The suit alleges that forced agricultural labor conditions violate the Eighth Amendment against cruel and unusual punishment and the Americans with Disability Act due to dangerous heat and harsh working conditions. The decision marks a significant legal step towards addressing systematic prison labor abuses. So what's going on is in Angola, one of the worst prisons in America. I know it's kind of messed up news, but I think people need to. I think our community needs to know about it because we have a lot of people, a lot of brown and black men in our communities are incarcerated, and a
Mhm.
lot of them are in Angola. And in Angola, the prison system, you're already in prison, so you're already doing your time. But then while you're doing your time, where you are, the food is horrible. I mean, they feed you food with maggots in it. I mean,
Mhm.
you've seen it on TV, but this is real life. And then they put you out in the fields to work. And a lot of people don't know that a lot of products we buy and own, these companies outsource it to the labor to the
Prison
prison.
labor,
Yeah.
right?
And so these guys have to work for $0 an hour. And we say, well, he's already in prison. Well, true, but doesn't mean he has to be inhumane about it.
Right.
And so I think now that this lawsuit is going to happen, it should bring we as media, I want to bring light to it because I think people need to know more about it and understand the ramifications of when um, prisons build when companies build prisons in our communities, what happens to it? And when our men and women, mostly our men, our boys, go to jail or to prison, what conditions they have to deal with? And they need a lot of support. Going to prison because you had marijuana or you stole something shouldn't mean that your life is ruined completely. This is supposed to be a rehabilitation program, prison. But in most cases, it turns into worse than that. And the men, when you go in, you come out a different person.
Yeah, definitely.
And right now we have, right now there's also inmate Corey Miller, which is C murder. He's in prison in Angola, and he's had hunger strikes because people don't really notice, but he also is like an advocate for the men in the prison to make better conditions for them while they're in there. So he's doing that in there as well. He's serving time, and he's trying to get his conviction overturned because of some injustices and some new discovered evidence that came up about his case. People came forward and said he didn't do what they said he did, and they recanted his testimony. And so he's working through that, but at the same time, the living conditions in the system is not good. And these men are going out in this heat and harsh conditions. A lot of times there's no power. So when it's hot, imagine being in a box and it's hot, in the summertime, 100 degrees and it's sweltering, there's no fans, there's no electricity. So anyhow, to make a long story short, right now they're going through it. And a judge has said that they can have a class action lawsuit, and that's where we are right now with that case,
Yeah.
And I'll keep you updated on that some more.
Yeah, keep us updated on that. I know that here in Atlanta, there was there have been several murders in prison here. That just recently, a young man was killed in the prison, and here in Fulton County, and his family is speaking out against, just asking what happened. No one knows. It's just, and I do think, to your point, like, rehabilitation should be the case. I experienced serving on a jury in my county, Walton County, which is a rural county in Georgia, but seeing how unjust the prison that our laws are, right? So you have so many Black and brown men in prison for things that, because they didn't have adequate defense, or just it's very skewed, how we decide who deserves to go to prison and who deserves a second chance. But then while you're in prison, if you're in those conditions where it's unsafe, some of the same things that are happening in Angola are happening here, not necessarily with the sharecropping, but with the food being basically, you would not feed that to dogs. The food that they're given would not feed to dogs. And also just so many of them ending up becoming unalived because of that sentence. And if you're in jail you have a sentence for X amount of years, you should come out. You should be able to come out after that time. You should not go in there and end up in that condition. So I do think it's important for us to remember our returning citizens. I think that's a great way of looking at it. Returning citizen, someone that does need a second chance, but in order for them to qualify for that, they need to be able to truly be in a real rehabilitation process. Right. That's not what's happening in a lot of our prisons. So, yeah, definitely something we need to think about. Well, I know we're going to get out of here a little early on MLK weekend.
Yes.
We want to encourage everybody to just take a breath and stop and remember everything that we are thankful for. I know we talk a lot about injustice and things that are happening, but we are in a much better space than we were a few years ago. So I think we have to remember that and just keep pressing forward.
And even with today's current climate, with all the stuff that's going on, take a minute, go outside, get some fresh air, be around those that you love. Talk to your mom, your dad, call a loved one, say hello to your children, whatever you have to do in this moment, just do that to be sane and grounded. If you got to go to church, go to church. If you got to meditate, meditate. If you got to pray, pray. But even though the world seems like it's on fire at some point, it's still good to, know that, someone here loves you as well. Yeah, God is good. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys for watching and hanging out with us our first week of the reprint. We look forward to growing, with you as we get more followers and we get more people involved, more conversations right here on the reprint. It's adding context to today's headlines. We'll see you guys next week, Monday at 9 a.m. on the West Coast, 12 p.m. on the East Coast. We'll see you then.
Have a great weekend.